Hi, this is Roisin from Sweet Eve Designs, and today I'm bringing you part 2 of how to assemble this Princess Mirror cake topper. Make sure to check out part 1 first, which is linked up here in the right, so that you can learn how to design this in Cricut Design Space. The materials you'll need are cardstock, embellishments, a quick stick, foam stickers in different sizes, glue including hot glue, non-stick scissors, mirror sheets, tulle, and an acrylic stick. All of the supplies can be found in the description box and on my Amazon storefront. First, we're going to start with the text. As this text is very intricate, I'm going to be using Belle Arcs glue, which has a fine tip, so it helps me to be able to apply these letters. So I just start by lining everything up first to make sure that I've got them all in the right position. Because the layers are quite thin, it can be easy to miss a layer out. Now I'm going to use glue to apply the first layer to the second layer. I like to use small dots because I find that this helps me to have just the right amount of adhesive. As this second layer was glitter, I find it quite difficult for the cardstock to stick, so you may need to apply additional glue and hold down until it's able to stick properly. Now you're just going to repeat this process and apply the second layer to the third layer, just using glue. Now to apply the third layer to the fourth layer, I'm going to use some foam stickers. I have these amazing strips. I will link them in the description box, but they're very malleable and they're really easy to add to intricate text. I just like to cut them down to size and make sure that each letter has a little bit of foam so that the height is evenly distributed across. And the amazing thing about these particular foam stickers is that they're coloured. So you can see here that the pink perfectly matches the pink on the cardstock, and it just elevates the cake topper so much. So then I'm just going to repeat that process and do the same for the last two layers. And that's our name done. Now I'm going to move on to doing the princess. So I'm going to repeat exactly the same process. I'm going to line them up, make sure that I've got everything in the right place, and then I'm going to use glue to apply the first layer to the second layer. Then for the second and third layer, just repeat the same using just glue. Then for the remaining layers, I'm going to use my foam tape. As this text was slightly thicker, I was able to actually use some of my bigger foam stickers as I got to the last layer. Now I'm just going to use my magic eraser. I have got some blemishes on here from the glue, so I'm just going to use my magic eraser to just give it a little clean. Now we're going to apply our text to the backing. So for the princess text, I just applied it directly using hot glue. You can also use white glue. Then for the name part, I wanted it to sit slightly above my princess. So I just used foam stickers, I layered them up, so I think I used 3 layers. And then I added my name on top of that. I do usually reinforce my foam stickers with hot glue, but these foam stickers are so good, you don't need to do it. So there's your text done. Princess Anea. It's really pretty and I love all the layers. Now we can do our number, So we've only got 3 layers for the number. The first layer I'm just going to apply with glue, and the second layer I'm going to use my really thin foam strips and I'm going to apply it to the third layer. And that's our number done. So now we're going to move on to our princess. So before I start, I'm just checking to make sure I've got all of my different layers ready. And I'm first going to start with the black and the white layer. And I'm just going to attach these two together just using white glue. You could also use hot glue if you wanted to. I'm not going to use any foam stickers because we're going to use foam throughout this and I don't want it to be too layered. Now I'm going to apply the skin tone layer to the black layer using glue. Now on the back of the white layer, I'm going to add some foam stickers and I'm going to add it to this back layer which is attached to the hair. And I'm also going to use some foam stickers to attach the dress to the body. And then I'm going to take the upper part of the dress and also use foam stickers to attach that. Now let's add our hair at the front because we don't want her to look like she's bald. And I'm just going to use a foam sticker to attach that to the skin tone layer of the cardstock. Now this is a completely optional step, but I love to use eyeshadow just to give my cardstock a bit of dimension. So I'm just going to use a Q-tip or cotton bud if you're here in the UK, and I'm just going to apply some of this really bright pink to her cheeks just to give her that little blush look. And then I'm going to add on her pretty crown. I just use glue for this, there's no need to use any foam stickers. And then just to add extra bling, I'm going to add a little cute pink embellishment just on the crown. And that is our princess done. I have to say, I absolutely adore her. She's gorgeous. Now let's go on to the scepter. So this is pretty straightforward. I'm just going to use foam stickers throughout to just attach each layer. So you're just going to repeat the process. So we start with the first layer, we apply it to the second layer. I actually did use my embossing machine to create this heart dimension, which is really cute. And then I just repeat that process all the way through until I get to the back layer. I just noticed that the bottom part was really kind of looking a bit flat. So I decided to use some of my strips to just make sure that the dimension that you see is at the top and the bottom of the scepter. And now here's the fun part, looking through all of my lovely gems to see what I can find to add as an embellishment, just to give that little bit of extra bling and specialness to this cake topper. So once I found the one that I liked, I then used hot glue to apply it, just to make sure that it doesn't fall off, especially if it's going to be given to a little girl. And that's the scepter done. Now let's move on to our castle layer. This is pretty straightforward, isn't anything too complicated. You're just going to use foam stickers to apply every layer to one another. At this point, I was trying to decide what type of foil mirror card I wanted, if I wanted the shinier or the more matte one, and I decided to go with the matte one. So as I mentioned, we're just going to use foam stickers to apply each layer. And what we just need to make sure is that we remember this little piece, which is separate, just here. And you're probably going to need to cut your foam sticker down to be able to add that bit on. And then just repeat until you've added all of the layers. And that's your castle done. Now let's move on to making our banner, which again is really straightforward. We're just going to apply that first layer using some foam stickers. Then we're going to grab these two little bits. I'm just going to use my quick stick because it makes it a little bit easier. And we're going to apply those directly to the second part of the banner just using glue. Now let's apply our backing. So we'll just repeat the process again with the foam stickers. And now we're going to add our banner to the top of our castle. And you need to make sure that you attach it in the middle part where the banner is actually going to meet the castle. Now let's add our name on. You should have your shadow at the back, which shows you where to line up your name. And I used some foam stickers again and added them to the banner directly. Because this is going to be at the front of the cake topper, I just like to use glue just to be sure that it's not going to fall off. And that's our castle text done. Now let's move on to our mirror. So this is the amazing mirror sheets, and you can see that it's got an adhesive back. You're just going to need to carefully remove the film cover, and then you're going to add the first layer. I personally used hot glue. I found that when I used the white glue, it just wasn't really sticking. So you do have to be quite careful here. And then remove the backing. And then you can add this to your next layer directly. It may be that it's not completely lined up correctly, so you might need to just add a little bit of glue in here at the bottom, make sure that it's all stuck. And also I didn't center it completely perfectly, so I found that I had to go in and just trim. Excuse my reflection, it's very cringy for me, but anyway, not much you can do when you're working with mirrors. So I just got my non-stick scissors and I just kind of cut where I could see that there was an overlap. So don't worry too much about it being exactly perfect, but of course you do want to make sure that it does cover the frame. Then you're going to add that onto your next layer, and you can just stick that down directly. I found it to be really sticky, even though it was glitter cardstock. And then I'm just cleaning my mirror a little bit. I decided to just use some hot glue just at the bottom there because that part doesn't have any adhesive. Then I use my foam stickers to attach the last two layers. I think in a design tutorial, I said to duplicate and add another layer because I didn't do that here. And that's your mirror done. So now we're going to move on to our crown. This really is a labor of love, but it's so worth it. So you're going to apply your glue in sections. Don't put glue all over because it's just going to dry. So I just do a random section that I want to work on, and then I make sure that I have a quick stick or something similar. And I just apply the embellishments, but I make sure that I mix up the sizes. So you don't want to use just all the same size because it's just going to look really flat and it's not going to have much dimension. What I will say is don't be obsessed with making sure that every single section is covered. If you can see a little bit of the cardstock poking through, it's actually quite nice and it gives you a little bit of a sparkle through. So don't worry too much about that. And remember that this glue does dry clear. So when you're applying it, you might think, oh my goodness, there's so much glue. I'm not going to be able to see the cardstock, but you will. Just give it some time. But do make sure that it is fully dry before you try to add it to the cake topper, because otherwise you'll find that all of these embellishments will start to slide. So just make sure that it is fully dry before you try to add it to the cake topper or before you try to add the number onto the crown. And that's our pearl crown done. Now we're going to work with the backing. Ignore that mine's cut out. Yours won't be because I went back on my design and changed it. But I'm just lining everything up and just trying to work out where I want everything to sit. And I'm going to start with applying my mirror. That needs to go on the back layer first. And I'm just going to use my foam stickers. Make sure there's some at the top and at the bottom. And then I'm just going to apply it directly. Then I'm going to grab my scepter and that's going to sit just behind the crown. So I'm actually just going to apply that directly to the backing of the cake topper using some hot glue. Then I'm going to add my beautiful princess and I want her to sit slightly above. So I'm just going to use some foam stickers to apply her to the backing. I actually did forget to add the backing on to this princess when I made her. So I'm just going to add the backing on now. In the design, you will have a duplicate of this back layer. So you may have already realized that I missed that out. So I'm just going to add her on now. And I'm going to layer my foam stickers up so that it sits kind of at the same level as the mirror. So I use 2 layers. Then I'm going to add my banner on and I'm going to make sure that I add foam stickers and layer them up on the flat parts of the backing. So that will just make sure that when I put on my banner and my castle, it's kind of sitting at the same level. And I went in and added some foam stickers on the other side. Now we're going to apply our crown, and the top part of the crown you will need to add some foam stickers because the backing part you can see sat a bit further back. So I just added 3 foam stickers, I think it was, and then I applied it on there. And I made sure to use hot glue because this is quite a heavy part of the cake topper and you don't want it to fall off. Apologies, my phone ran out of storage so it stopped recording, but I added on the number and I just used hot glue, no foam stickers. So now we're going to work with our tool. You can see how pretty this is. And you are going to just cut a piece of tool kind of longer than you think. I don't really know how long to suggest, to be honest. But then you're just going to fold it in this kind of motion. So back and forth, back and forth. And you'll end up with this kind of fan effect. Then I grabbed some clear elastic bands. These are actually ones that I use on Eve's hair. And I just tied at the bottom. Now this is an optional step. You could just skip this out and actually just glue directly to the back. But I think it was quite good to hold it in place. Then I just looked and made sure that it kind of was big enough to cover the area that I wanted it to. I flipped it round and then I just used some hot glue to attach the tool to the cake topper. And I just held that in place, and just at the bottom I want it to be more fanned out, so I just applied hot glue at the bottom as well and at the top. So just kind of position it as you want so that you get the best coverage. And then I just repeated that process again. So I got my tool and I cut it and I repeated that 2 more times. So it meant that I had 3 fans of tulle in total, if that makes sense. So then I added one on the right hand side and then just made sure that I added glue at the top and the bottom to fan it out as I wanted it to look. And then I did the same, but I added the tulle at the top of the cake topper. So you'll see that it will kind of be covered all the way around. Now, ignore me, I'm going to add the backing. to this cake topper so that we're going to cover the tall parts. I was just readjusting again, just making sure I was happy with where everything was sat. At this point, you know, if you think it's sticking out too much, you can use hot glue to bring it in slightly. So now we're just going to add some foam stickers to make sure that the backing is all even, because the tool will go up slightly. You want the foam stickers to make sure that the backing is all even. So what I normally do is that I just add it on using the foam stickers first to make sure I'm happy with where everything is positioned. And then I go in afterwards and I use some hot glue, just because it gives you a bit more time to be able to adjust. If you go in directly with hot glue, it's going to be very hard to pick this up if you put the backing on in the wrong place. So then I was just thinking, oh, I think I want this to sit in a bit more. So I was just kind of adjusting and poking around and sticking in the tool and just trying to work out how I want it to look. So I just apply hot glue in the places where I haven't got the foam stickers, and that will just make sure that everything is stuck down. And I just pushed my tool in a little bit. And then I also made sure to do the same on the other side. So I just pushed the tool in and then stuck it all down. And then I'm just kind of flipping it around, looking, seeing where do I want to pull my tool in. And then I apply my cake topper stick using some hot glue and kind of add it in the center. And then I'm going to go on and I'm going to add my backing. So first I'm going to apply some foam stickers. This will mean that we can cover the stick. Now, ignore my backing, it's slightly smaller. Yours will actually be the same size. Again, I made some changes on my design. So that's your princess cake topper done. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please make sure to like, comment and subscribe. And follow me on my other platforms for quick tips and tutorials such as Instagram, TikTok and Pinterest. And check out my 3D cake topper assembly playlist, which shows you how to make loads of different cake toppers. Bye!